If you build anything that might get serious in some point in the future, you need tests. But no, not unit testing or integration testing. That's what you did at university, and these times are gone. What we need is end-to-end testing, because that's the only way we can secure that our app is working all the time. And what can I say? It just got so much easier and better now. We have to talk about a lot today, so let's get started. And in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, there you go. End-to-end testing. What does that mean? What means end-to-end? Pretty simply said, it's just user to product. So we're actually testing actual human flows, and that's end-to-end testing. So not just like unit testing where you're just testing one function or one component. No, instead you're testing the whole thing or the whole flow. Are you ready for Flash Bomb? I'm so sorry, but this page has no dark mode. What is the state of the art? Which testing packages are out there and which are cool and which are not cool? We have basically Cypress, Jest, Playwright, and V-Test. For Jest and V-Test, they are more on the unit testing side. And when it comes to Cypress and Playwright, they are better for end-to-end testing. And what we clearly see here is that Playwright is winning the race, and it's also the option that next.js, the framework that I will use in this video, recommends. But I told you that things just got so much better because there's a new player here. But we will get to that in a minute. So let's jump finally into code. I use next.js here. You don't need to use next.js as well. You can use React, but you can also use any other framework. What I show here today is not framework specific at all. I think so. So because Playwright is the option of choice currently, I just give you a quick run how to set Playwright up. You just start if you're using pnpm. With pnpm create Playwright, then you get prompted with a few things. I already have set it up, so I haven't have to do it. But if you have done that, you get a Playwright config set it up. It looks a little bit complex, but it's basically not. It's just setting up the test directory, and you can just set up some things, but you can also stay with the default. But here you can also define which browsers do you actually want to test on, right? You could test on Chrome browsers, on Firefox, on Safari, for example. In my case here, I just test on Chromium, but that is bad practice. You should test on all your browsers. And that's already all. If you have set it up your Playwright config, you can just start writing tests. So you just create a file with .spec.ts. And this file might look extremely complex on the first look, but it's actually not really. It's basically just like reading English. You will see that because I just describe a test multi-step form, and then I say before each test, go back to the starting route. And then I just define the test and I say, yo, I expect that the page has a multi-step form to be visible. And then I check if the progress bar. So I have these to be visible here, and I have this expect function that I expect something to happen. And that's basically how tests work. I can do even more things. I can, for example, click things. So I say, hey, page, click a button that has the text next. But yeah, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I can even fill things or wait for some things to happen. That's how tests work, and that's how you define all your Playwright tests in here. And that is not much. I'm not testing the whole form here. I just test some basic things like moving forwards and moving backwards. So tests can get pretty complex. But one big question that is standing in the room is now, when should tests run? I mean, sure, I could run them locally here, but then I have to do it every time that I do something. I have to run my tests. I totally will forget about that, right? That's why you should make use of GitHub Actions if you use GitHub. But I think GitLab has this too. And for enabling that, you need a .github folder and then a workflows folder, and then you define a workflow in a YAML file in here. Yeah, it again just looks complex. Again, it's just easy. We're just defining end-to-end tests. We say when should they run. For example, on a pull request, I want that on every pull request that these end-to-end tests run, and then I just say what should happen. But this is all default behavior here, and then I'm just installing Playwright here, and then I'm running a build, and here it is, pnpm exec playwright test. This is actually running my Playwright test completely without me saying it has to do this. It's just doing it every time for every coworker in my company. That is really good. But what isn't good is the fact that this just looks garbage. It's complex, and the biggest problem is that every time you change only one simple detail, let's say it's not called multi-step form, but multi-step test form, or I change the name from personal info to just info, for example, or the idea of last name is now surname. Just one simple change and all your tests crash. And that's the pain. That's the pain of end-to-end testing. You change one thing, your tests are not working. So who's our light bringer? Who will save us here? It's AI. AI packed into web browsers. And that's what Browserbase offers us. And thankfully, they also sponsored this video. But what I say here is totally my opinion. And I'm convinced that this changes end-to-end testing 360 degrees. So they have a product called Stagehand. And this is so great for end-to-end testing. So we have two options now. You might already have seen it. We can use Browserbase with Playwright. So we're just having our normal test setup with Playwright. But as an environment, we're not just using localhost or the local build that it's happening on GitHub Actions. We actually define a domain that is called by the AI browser where the tests at the end of the day run. While this already is cool and gives us a lot of benefits, because in the dashboard we can see, hey, what has actually happened, and we even get a video about what has happened. This is not the perfect solution because the problem still persists, right? Because we still have the problem that if we change one thing, things stop working. So that's where Stagehand comes into play. Because with Stagehand, we're not using Playwright anymore. We're using Stagehand, of course. We also say that we go to a specific domain here because it has to run on the Browserbase AI browser. But now it's getting cool because we have something that is called act. So we can act the AI browser to do something. We can say just input first name, and he does that. And input first name is not a specific string. I'm talking to the browser. I could also say input the first name or stuff like that. So I'm just saying here what he should do. So if I change the ID of the input field of the first name, that doesn't lead to the fact that my test will crash. My test will still work. It's just AI now moving through my application. And that's awesome. Like, I'm just saying, bro, just move through my site and take maybe some screenshots. Cool. That's it. We can test that. I set it up some scripts here for example, BB Stagehand. So we call pnpm run test BB Stagehand. BB stands for Browserbase. I think you know that. And if I run that now, he starts a machine on Browserbase. We can actually see that. If you go to the overview here, you see running since when. If I refresh here, this should be live. Wait, yes, 16 seconds. So this is now running a test and we have such a good observability. We can just click that. Let's see, is it finished? No, it's still running. Can we see it live, what he's doing? I think we can. Now he actually finished, but there we go. Now we see how he is filling in these values here. Isn't that cool? That's just awesome. You see exactly what's going on. So we see here our test is finished. I just console log test started and I just console log the domain. You can console log whatever you want in here. One minor problem still exists. I have to write those things on my own here. So I have to come up with all the ideas, what I want the AI to act like and what it should do. But Browserbase has a solution for that, of course, the director. So director is also a product by Browserbase. And here we can start adding tasks. So I say like, go on the German Amazon and find the new AirPods Pro 3. And he will do that. And not just that, no, he will give me the Stagehand commands that he uses. And this is the key, because then I can just copy the script, get it into my code, and I'm done. So fast for every flow of my application. Right, so we see here, wait, page go to Amazon. Now he waits a little bit so everything can load. And then he's typing in AirPods 3 Pro. So he just says page.act, type AirPods Pro 3 into the search box. So simple. And the AI is doing that. And there we go. There we see our AirPods Pro. So now you can just take the Stagehand script and set it up with GitHub Actions and you have a perfect flow. Thanks to Tom for watching this video. Here you find more videos of mine and have a great week. Bye bye.